Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Always good to be. There we go. I won't bore you with the other details of myself, but I do have a whole team behind me, and we support the Alliance Group, and have been with the Alliance Group since 2008, actually. So it's been a great relationship. We've seen a lot of growth, exciting stuff. But again, it's not just me. We have a whole team of not only folks, and everyone on our team, we only work with retirement plans, but we have a whole nother group of our firm. If you want help on individual retirement planning, if you want someone to sit down with and get a second opinion on, you know, what will my retirement look like? We have folks that work with individuals as well. So today we're just going to be concentrating on the retirement plan space. And we need to update our website, I think, if that's where you got our numbers, because we did get the Top Advisor Award in also 20 and 21. So again, it's a great honor, but it is our team and our firm. Our firm's been around for over 30 years. We are Omaha born. We do have a national footprint, but we really love working with the Alliance Group and our partnership, and the way both companies look and feel, you know, it really meshes well together as a partnership. I'm really hoping today I have some interesting information for you. I thought this was pretty funny. I'm not a runner, but there is some truth to this saying, actually, that most Americans don't really know what a 401k is, unfortunately, or they don't use their 401k. So that's really what I want to talk to you about today. Some of you on the call may already have your plan with the Alliance Group. So this will be a little bit of a refresher and just hopefully some good information. But for those of you that do not have a plan in place now, we'll talk quite a bit about that. I should have like a button here that every time I say something, I should press it and it should say, you're in good hands with the Alliance Group, because everything that we see coming down the pipe, the Alliance Group can help you achieve any of the new rules and regulations that are coming down the pipe. So maybe one of you can chime up and say that when I say.
That sounds great.
Yeah, the Alliance Group can help
Like
you with
easy
this.
button.
I'm going to ask everyone to wear 3 hats today. Obviously, I think we have mainly employers on the line. You are also employees. So if you're not an employer and you're on the summit, we'll talk about this from an employee standpoint as well. But I'm going to start with what the government is doing and why that's important and why we want to talk about that today. If you look at just business in the United States in general, 98% of all companies have less than 98 employees. So, you know, everyone thinks of, okay, we all know someone that works at a large company, but the majority of people work at small businesses. That's really what the United States is. And then when you look at the amount of employees, 70% of the employees actually work at a small company. So 98% of companies and 70% of employees. So really, I think, you know, your footprint is with small companies, and that's really what America is, right? It's small companies that are, I think that's what makes America, America. So that's the footprint. But what is the problem, and why am I asking you to put on your government hat? The government is very concerned. 72% of small companies do not even offer a retirement plan. So you can see the breakdown here. So that's a big dilemma when the government's looking at how are we going to have Social Security replace all of the income that people need when 72% of companies aren't even offering some sort of retirement plan to their employees. Let's take it to the employee level. It's no shock now that most US workers aren't saving enough, right? Americans are really good at making money, and then they spend that money. And then if they're just lucky enough to have anything left over after their spending, then maybe they'll save. Where what's nice about a retirement plan, when you work, you put money into the retirement plan right away. And then it doesn't hurt so bad to spend the rest of your paycheck because you've paid yourself first. Here's the problem. A lot of Americans don't have a retirement plan to put it in right away. And so this kind of starts this chain reaction. Small businesses that don't have retirement plans retirement plan, and then workers don't have retirement plans to save for retirement. So what's the government doing about that? They're coming out with a lot of new legislation. There are 28 states currently working on some sort of a state-sponsored retirement plan. There are already these 11 states that have enacted legislation to mandate companies of certain sizes have some sort of retirement plan in place. So that can be kind of scary, but you can see what the government's doing. They're very concerned that people aren't saving. I think I woke up one day on my 40th birthday and it was Matt Lauer that said, if you're this age, and he said my age, Social Security may or may not be there for you. And I was like, wait, that's me. Mm-hmm. So I think it really sent a shockwave to the government to say, hey, if Social Security is not going to be there, and by the way, if you're relying on Social Security for your retirement, that's not good, right? I mean, Social Security, even if you got the most Social Security, it's probably only going to cover about 40% of your bills during retirement. So you need more, but you saw the stats, people aren't doing anything about that. And so the government's getting involved, and whether you like that or not, it is coming. There's now federal legislation coming. So this was approved in September 9th, the House and Ways Committee approved a really big federal bill. What it's going to do in 2023, it's going to mandate that employers have a retirement plan. So I told you earlier that there's 11 states that already do it. The government, the federal government, is going to mandate that. I'll talk a little bit about that. Now, I say this, I have to be full disclosure here. I can't say that just because the House and Ways Committee, Means Committee, and in the House, they approve this, it hasn't passed fully in the Senate. So there are things that still have to happen for this to go through. But I really think this is kind of the writing on the wall. If it doesn't pass this time, we know it's probably coming in the next couple of years, 5 years or so. But it's already passed this portion of the legislation. So we kind of know it's coming. And what they're going to do is they're really going to put, I think, the onus on the employer. The employer has to be the one that does it. So here you go. Employers would be required to maintain a retirement plan for anyone that has 6 or more employees. Okay? Now, if you've been in business for less than 2 years, you get a free pass. If you have 5 or less people, you get a little bit of a free pass. Church plans and, of course, government, they exclude their own selves. But every other company that has 6 or more employees will be required to have a retirement plan. And then there's a lot of other rules inside of that. Not only will they force you to have a retirement plan, they're going to do things like automatic features. They're going to automatically put every employee in the plan. They have to opt out. And some of those things are good, but I just want to make the point that this is coming, and it's coming fast and furious. This is where I press the button. You're in good hands with the Alliance Group, because if you're a part of them, we'll talk about a really easy plug and play way to put up with this and to solve this issue when and if this gets passed in all of the House and Senate.
Now, Wade, there's no requirement for the employer to match.
We will talk about that. Yes. Right. So right now they're just wanting a plan in place. So correct. There will not be the ability for the employer to have to spend more money on a match.
Just provide the service of a 401k.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But there's some duties that are involved, right? To set up a 401k, it's pretty, you got to know what you're doing. You got to set it up properly. There's a lot of rules. Again, press the Alliance Group easy button. You're in good hands with the Alliance Group. What really got my attention here, if and when this passes, failure to comply is a very steep cost. It's $10 per employee per day. So let's get these things, if this passes, we're going to be really busy and we're going to be setting these things up. Okay. So you just said this earlier, Taylor, so good on you. Usually in a 401k plan, you have a choice between not giving a match or not contributing to your employees, or also contributing to your employees. Quite frankly, I'm seeing employers start to contribute more to their employees since COVID. I think employers, they look at their employees and they're looking at the retirement plan as a attention, attraction, and retention tool. And so we're really seeing employers, if they didn't have a match, think about a match. Or if they have a match, increase their match. It's a really good way, and employees, we know, do compare employers based on their benefits. So there's a new safe harbor option that the government's coming out with. So if you just comply with their rules, one of the new safe harbors will be just a deferral only plan. So the employer is not allowed to give contributions, but they limit the amount that each employee can put away. Think of this as like a supercharged IRA group plan is really what it is. This will replace probably the simple plans that someone might have in place because you don't have to give a match, but yet it reduces the amount that people put in. You can see it limits it to $6,000 or $7,000. Okay. Any questions so far? Did I go too fast on that, Taylor, Compton? You guys could slow me down as well.
No, I think that's good. I'll have some questions for you at the end. But...
Okay, yeah, and if there are questions, I would like to field them because more than likely, if you have those questions, someone else might have those as well. Not only is the government going to try and really help the, not only going to try and make sure that the employers are offering a plan, they're really going to incentivize employees to put money into the plan. Most people don't know this now, but right now, if you are saving in your 401k account, the government will pay you $1,000 for doing that. A lot of people don't know that. And when I say that, it's not always true because the government will, they say that they'll give you $1,000, but then when you look into it, it's those folks that basically make under $25,000. And if they're putting in at least $2,000 of their own money, those employees will get $1,000 in a tax credit, not a deduction, but a tax credit. So think of it this way in real terms, folks making $25,000 probably aren't saving $2,000 into their 401k plan. So this credit is great, but it's not really going to anybody. So a lot of the new legislation that I'm reading, they're going to increase that tax threshold closer to $75,000 to $100,000. So now anyone that makes, let's say, $75,000 or less wouldn't get the $1,000, but they'll get a $500 credit at the time that they do their taxes. So think of it that way. It's not a huge deal, but if you're used to getting $2,000 back at tax time, now you'll get $2,500. If you owed $1,000 at tax time, now you only owe $500. So it will be a tax credit for the employee as well.
Wade, can you just put the mouse up to the top? I think Michelle had a question. Go to the chat.
Right here?
Yeah, click on that. See if she had anything. It doesn't look like she typed anything yet. Okay. Michelle, if you do have a question, please just feel free to put that into the chat.
Again, sometimes these rules with the government can be good. Sometimes they can just be overwhelming. But the reality of it is they're coming. How do we solve them? We'll talk about this next. Now I'm going to ask you to take your government hat off and put on your employer hat. So as an employer, you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, what am I going to do if I'm one of those employers that I'm not offering a 401k plan? Or if I am offering a 401k plan, how am I going to keep up on some of these other rules that are coming through? How am I going to educate my employees about this tax credit and so on and so forth? So this is where the Alliance Group really comes in. This is the advantage you have with being with the Alliance Group. They already have a retirement plan set up and it's best in class. What they will do is they will share their plan with you. So now you do not have to start up your own plan. You will have your own customized plan inside of their plan, but you're just going to basically plug and play into the Alliance Group plan. And that does a lot of things. It gives you that option so that you don't have to burn any energy and time on it. Number two, you don't have to sponsor your own plan and take risks that it takes to try and make sure you're doing it the proper way. They've got you covered the entire way. Like I said, this is best in class. They do use John Hancock as a record keeper. John Hancock is the largest record keeper in the United States. They have over 55,000 plans. So everyone will like this plan. It will be very useful and employees will like it. But again, you're just plugging into this. There's nothing you need to do to set it up other than fill out a couple forms, and we'll help you do that. There's a administration team that takes care of all of the compliance stuff from your end. So there's nothing you need to do or no one you need to do to engage there. What's beautiful about the Alliance Group, since they're already doing your payroll, everything is integrated. So anytime an employee interacts with the 401k, it's automatically integrated to the payroll system at the Alliance Group. And then our firm acts as the advisor, holding everyone's hand along the way, doing all the education and support. So at the plan level, we try and build best-in-class plan design. So you're going to get the best fund menus available. Since you're plugging into a very large plan, rather than getting pricing based on your own size and shape. So if you're an employer that has 20 employees, you're probably not going to get real good pricing on your own. Now you can plug and play into the Alliance Group and you get the cost of a bigger engine and a bigger plan. We've tried to make these plans as flexible as possible, but yet we're ongoing monitoring and screening everything. So if something needs to be repaired or something needs to be replaced, we're doing that. So all of these things are being done for you behind the scenes just by joining the plan. What's also beautiful, even though you're joining the Alliance Group master plan, you can then individualize your own portion of their plan. So you can have a different eligibility period than someone else. You can have a different match than someone else. There's a lot of things that you can customize as an employer. And the employers that are on this call that are already using this, you know this. If you ever want to change the way your plan looks and feels, you can always do that down the road as well. It's very flexible, very easy to use.
There's a question in the chat for you, Wade. You can, that red.
There we go.
Yep, right there.
We have always had a 401k and match with the workforce just trying to hire people. How do we teach young people how important it is? Excellent question. So I'm going to ask you as an employer, we're going to kind of wear a combo hat here in a little bit. I'll kind of show you how we handle education and how we take that duty away from the employer, carry that over to the Alliance Group, put the risk on us for doing that. And so that's a good segue. We're going to be getting into that real quick here.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to answer that.
And if you guys, if anybody schedules a harassment training with me, we can always bring in Feltz Wealth Plan as well into that presentation. So if you have any interest, just let me know. And I can link up with them for you. And it's often a good time because normally you have all your people together for harassment training. So then you just bring in 401k education as well. And then that way you make sure you capture everybody.
Yeah. I'll really spend some time on this, so please stick with us because there will be a pretty good section in here about how we handle education. And like Shay says, sometimes it's easy because we can combine it with education that you already are doing or already have in place. We can piggyback that, but there's some other things that we can do from an employer standpoint to really press that button and make sure that you're doing your duties properly. Again, from an investment standpoint, I'll put this menu of funds up against anyone out there. I know you all have your favorite funds out there that you want to invest in. More than likely, they're on this plan. Is that another chat there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go look at that.
Gold mining.
Can you get gold or gold mining fund options? Actually, you can. I can't say it's the exact gold fund that maybe you have, but there is a gold exposure. There's an ETF on our plan that is a gold fund. We try and include not only gold, but other what we call sectors or specialties. There's gold, there's real estate, there's tech, there's healthcare, there's utilities. So, and I might be missing, oh, we just added one. We added an infrastructure ETF. So with the infrastructure bill that just passed, with them spending trillions and trillions of dollars on infrastructure, there's now a fund in the plan that would allow you to get exposure to that as well. So yeah, not only are we trying to find just the general funds, we're trying to also find those niche funds or those specialty funds that someone has. I thought I might get the crypto fund. That one's not on there yet. Usually you have to have some, to be prudent, you really want to have about 2 to 3 years worth of history on something before you add it to a retirement plan. Crypto's just not there yet. I can tell you it will be someday, but it's just not there yet. Were you gonna have a question, Taylor?
No, that was that
Okay.
was gonna be my
You're
question.
gonna go crypto?
I was gonna ask. Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Dogecoin?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, shout out to Shibu.
Shibu, yeah.
So this will maybe answer some of the participant level question we just had on chat. We take a lot of pride in this. A lot of advisors just want to spend their time on the funds and talk about how great the funds are. After about 4 minutes of that, most participants' eyes roll in the back of their head and they're like, how do I get out of here? And I'm gonna start thinking about something else. We really just try and get in front of that employee and get them to think about themselves. Everyone that we've met wants to retire. People love to work, but they want to retire. And so what we want to do is really get them to think about retiring. Yes, investments are part of that, but there's so much more to that. How much should I be saving? Most people don't know. The average American is putting away 6% of their pay. They should be putting 10 to 15% of their pay, but the average American does 6. So, and you saw earlier, not many Americans do it at all. So there's a big need for education and support. So we don't come in there and make them feel bad for not doing 10 to 15. It's really hard to do 10 to 15%. So we try and treat them like individuals, like human beings. And we say, hey, we don't care where you start, but start. Hey, wait, I just can't afford the 401k. Well, that's not true. Could you afford 1%? Yes, I could. And we believe in starting wherever you can, and then every year auto-escalating by 1%. Do that until you get to that 10%. Then the next thing you know, you're on track and you'll probably have more retirement money and or you'll be able to retire earlier. We'll talk to each person individually. We'll do either a group meeting. A lot of times we'll stick around after those group meetings and talk to them individually, do calculators, and we'll look at their own account and help them really feel important because they are important. Regardless of who they are in your company, you want them to succeed and you want them to do well. This plan offers both Roth and traditional 401k options. People that are under 40 years old, you should really be considering putting most of your money into the Roth option. If you're not, that's okay, but I would talk to someone about why I said that, because Roth can be very powerful with how it grows tax-free. When I look at the national numbers, employees, when they're educated, only 10 to 15% of them put money into Roth. In our plans, 40 to 50% of employees put money into Roth. Why? Because we sit down with every single one that wants to, and we explain to them the differences. Once the employees notice and understand the differences, then they actually pick it. And so that's good. We'll help them with investments. Again, we'll do both group and individual. We'll do that for you. So this would answer the question earlier. This removes any risk that the employer has or the burden that the employer has to do this. We, of course, ask for the time to come in and do that, but we would never expect the employer to offer education and support. That's a risk you never want to do. So if you're an employer right now giving your employees advice on investments, please stop doing that. Let us come in and let us handle that, because one of the things we see in litigation is employers getting sued for decisions employees made. So employees are suing employers for their retirement plan because they feel like they were the ones that led them the wrong way. Let us take on that risk. And we try and make it easy. We have those folks in a plan. It never fails. There's 3 of these types of investors. There's someone that says they want to do it on their own. You'll love this plan. Like I said earlier, there's 50 choices. If one of those people like says, I don't want to do it on my own at all. In fact, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. Then we have 2 choices. We can put you in a default fund that's automatically managed for you behind the scenes by Vanguard, or our firm and or John Hancock will build a risk-based portfolio for you where you can say, look, I want to be aggressive or I want to be conservative. And that's really all you have to do. You just have to make that decision, and then someone manages your money for you. And if you don't even know what level of risk you want to take, talk to us. We can have you take a quiz. There's things that we can do. We look at risk like how you rank things. So think of the highest risk at 100 and think of the lowest risk at 1. And where do you as an investor fit on that? Like when I take my risk quiz, I'm at about a 75 or an 80. So I'm very aggressive. So I would put myself in one of our pre-built models that's running at around a 70, 80 mile an hour, let's say, risk. But someone might be nearing retirement and they may take the quiz and they're to 30. Well, then we're going to slot them according to their risk. So now you're not just picking and choosing and hope you're doing the right thing. You're actually having a conversation with someone about risk and you're being put into something that's appropriate for you. Here's this risk quiz. So we all are used to going to the restaurant now and using a QR code. For those of you that are watching this presentation, if you have your cell phone, just go ahead and put your camera on this QR code and you can take a risk quiz. And after taking that risk quiz, it will tell you how risky you are as an investor. So Shay, I'll let you do this. Yeah. But we have a whole library of education. If you have folks that are over 55 years old, those folks are really thinking about different things. They're thinking about things like, what will Social Security do for me? Will I have enough money? What about this? What about that? We have a whole library of education and support for any aged person in your company, and we want to help them out. We have lots of other tools. I won't bore you with them. The markets really go up and down quite a bit. It can be exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time. The news is only going to give you negative news. They've learned that we will not tune in if you're talking positive. They have to talk negative for us to listen. So if you're sick of that negativity, go to our website. We have what are called weekly commentary or weekly notes that you can get our spin on the markets, and it's not always negative. It might be positive. We do not charge anything more for any of these tools. Feel free to take us up on any of those. Here it again, the Alliance Group has made it easy for you. So to join their plan, there are no startup costs. There are no ongoing costs to the employer. And there certainly is no ongoing compliance costs. That is all included in you just being a valued partner or co-employer of the Alliance Group. Since the Alliance Group has the plan and sponsors it, now that reduces and removes any other risks that you as an employer have of monitoring and screening your investments, of making any mistakes, and you certainly won't have payroll errors going somewhere that it shouldn't go. Since this is fully integrated, it will definitely make everything a lot smoother. Who is a candidate for the Alliance Group plan? It's really everybody, but I've tried to spell them out here. If you're a company right now with a simple or a SEP, there's a lot of advantages to move out of that to get into the Alliance Group plan. The limits are higher. Now you can add Roth. There's a lot more employee benefits to having a 401k over a simple. There's a lot more employer benefits. We can add a profit sharing plan. I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. If you're a startup plan, just talk to us at the Alliance Group. We'll get you set up. You're a great candidate. Any small business with a current plan, you're taking all those risks now. You're doing all that. You're paying for all those administrative duties and fees. Get rid of those. We can take your plan, terminate it, and roll it into the Alliance Group, and you can mirror whatever you're doing now and just keep doing exactly what you're doing inside of the Alliance Group plan. Okay. PEOs, not only am I a big fan of PEOs in the Alliance Group, just this whole industry, you guys are ahead of the curve. I think companies that aren't using companies like the Alliance Group are really going to start doing that, and the numbers prove it. Basically, every 5 years, PEOs are adding more employees than the utilities industry. So think about how many employees that is. And then the PEO option is growing 14 times faster than any other industry in the economy. So you guys are ahead of the curve. You've joined the Alliance Group. This is why they're taking all of these duties off of you, and they're taking them on themselves and kind of keeping you out of harm's way. Okay, I should stop there. Any questions on the employer or anything I said about the government or anything there before I keep moving on to the employee?
I think we're good.
Okay. All the studies are showing, you saw all the government numbers they looked at, they're looking at these two. I think someday the government's gonna come in, I think we're 5 years away, but the government's gonna come in and they're gonna point their finger at someone. They're gonna say, hey, we put all these plans in place now. Why haven't we still got people more financially well or ready for retirement? It's because no one's getting the right advice. So people that work with an advisor or get education are twice as likely to do a lot of good things. And again, it's not us trying to sell you on our services. These services speak for themselves. It's really not even close, the folks that get help and the ones that don't. So I also think there's something else that goes on here. This personalized education, the employee looks at the employer and says, you know what, they care about me. For the first time, someone's allowed me to talk to someone about my own retirement. I think that goes a long ways. Plus, like I said, in the future, I really think plan sponsors are going to have the spotlight put on them, and the government's going to literally ask every employer, what are you doing today to make your employees more financially ready for retirement? And you better have an answer, right? And that's not me trying to scare people, but it's coming. It definitely is coming. And we're already doing that at the Alliance Group. So to me, it's just kind of business as usual. We'll already have those answers. What is personalized education and how do we administer it? Okay, you can get out your QR code again, Shay. We have another QR code that, based on them being an employee, this interaction allows them to answer questions. Do I want help? Maybe, hey, I'd like someone to review my account. Or, you know what, you mentioned Roth. I'd like someone to talk to me the differences of Roth and traditional. Or, you know, I'd like to learn more about Social Security. Or, hey, I have a family. I haven't set up a living will and trust yet. How do I do that? You know, these aren't just 401k questions that people want. They want full financial help. Well, that's what this education, this personalized education is intended to do. When we come out and do our education, and or if we just email this link to your folks, if they put their phone on it like Shay did, she's going to answer some questions. Now that all that goes automatically back into our CRM. Now we have all the data, but now we know who wants help, what help they want, and now we can set up these education meetings individually with all of the employees across all of the employers. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And now here's what's also nice. Let's say you send this to someone and they don't click on it, or they ignore you and they don't do it, or they click on it and they say, leave me alone. Because there is a button on there, believe it or not, that says, leave me alone, I don't want any help.
Yep.
But guess what happens now as an employer? Guess what you have in their file? We have something that says that they opted out of this help. So when the government comes around and asks us someday, hey, what have you done for your employees? You now have proof that at least once a year, you asked your employees if they want help, and they either told you, yes, here's the help I want, or no, leave me alone. But now you have that CYA as an employer.
Yeah.
But I think it's more important than the CYA. I don't like the fear of it. I like that employees, the studies show, when asked, want help. Let's just ask them, hey, would you like help? Yes. What help do you want? And then they tell you, and you don't have to guess. To me, it's just better to do it that way, more of a caring personality rather than, but the CYA is nice, don't get me wrong. CYA is very nice. Okay, I think I'm a little ahead of time here, but that's probably okay. I didn't want to leave out the employers, because the employers are also employees, right? The business owners are also employees. I've been getting asked a lot as an employer or as an owner, how do I put more money into my retirement plan? These are the government limits. And so I just did from age 50 to age 65. There's a whole list. So if you're younger than this, just get a hold of me and I can talk to you about it individually. But you can see if you were an employer and you're an owner and you join the Alliance Group and you yourself as an employer wanted to put away $64,500 in the Alliance Group plan, you are allowed to do that. We would have to do it through a combination of 401k and profit sharing, but the Alliance Group plan is set up to do both 401k and profit sharing. So again, if you're an employer and you've had a killer year and you want to maybe slam a few more bucks away into your retirement plan, or if you see the future and your business looks great, get a hold of us. Let's look at your plan design and help you enhance the amount of money that you can reduce your taxable footprint while still saving more money for retirement. And then for those of you that really want to get crazy and put a lot of money away, see this column in the middle, there's a cash balance column that you can really start slamming money away if you're a business owner or an employer, or if you have high earners in your company. You can really layer on another one of these plans to the Alliance Group's current plan, and we can start slamming a bunch of money away. Okay. You guys wanted me to mention a little bit about the markets, right?
Yeah.
So how do I do? Go over here and stop sharing this?
Yeah, you can stop share and then go back to share screen.
Share, and then I gotta go find that
And
other,
then it should
right here.
be right there, yes, sir. And then hit share. And then.
while I'm doing this, I should say, is there any other, can I do this slideshow?
Yep.
Oh, I had a question, when you're talking about the participant, the different types of options on ways to invest. So like right now I'm in a target date fund, but I'm wondering, is there a way to do a combination of a target date fund and then also like a personalized thing that you guys might put together for me?
There is, yeah, so there's lots of different variations you can do as an employee or as a participant. How could that look? So yes, let's say you could put some of your money in a target date fund and some of your money in a risk-based portfolio.
Okay.
What I would say is let's just find out what the risk-based portfolio is in the target date fund, and let's compare that to the risk-based portfolio itself. Because the target date funds also have levels of risk they're taking as well. So we can kind of decide, is the 2040 fund, what level of risk is that taking? And does that match up with me?
Okay.
So I would first start there, find out what level of risk you're comfortable at, and then let's find something in there, either a target date fund, a risk portfolio, or a combination of both, and get you to that risk number.
Okay.
I have a lot of folks today that are scared. They're 55, 60 years old. They're nervous. They don't, they work so hard their whole life and they don't want to lose money, right? And they don't know what to do. This plan also allows you to invest current money differently than ongoing money or new money. So there is some flexibility there. So if I have someone that says, man, I worked my whole life, I've got a huge amount of money in there, I'd want to be more conservative with that, but I'm willing to take more chances on some of my contributions. Well, you can do that. We can split those investment, scenarios up and go a different route that way too. So there's lots of different combinations we can do to help you achieve your goals.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got one question for you, Wade. If we go back to that state legislation for retirement plans, so right now you said 11 states are mandating that, right? How has that affected business owners and their employees, right? First one that comes to mind is, well, if you're making me put money away for retirement, is minimum wage going up? What other expenses are employers incurring or employees? What other money is coming to the employee to offset that money that they now have to save?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think there's a little bit of upheaval, right? I can't speak for all 11 states because all 11 states have done their own thing, right? They all have done a little bit of a variation. Some just want you to have direct deposit capabilities into an IRA. Some want you to literally set up some sort of a 401k or a simple or a SEP. So each state's a little different. But you can see how that's causing chaos, right? Because how do you cope with that? And think about it this way, if you're a business owner, how in the heck are you supposed to know about all these rules, right? And they give you time, they give you like a year to maybe catch up. And then from there, then what? Usually there's a little bit of a growing area or growing pain area where they'll let you kind of figure it out over a period of time. But think about it as a business owner, you've got a lot of other things to worry about. You don't want to worry about this. And again, in Nebraska, if most folks are in Nebraska and Iowa have not mandated that yet. But I think it's obviously will be federally mandated, and I think that's what's gonna happen. If federally they mandate it and set the rules, the states can either override that or just piggyback that,
Yeah.
or make it more stringent. That'd be the only other thing they could maybe do. Is there another chat?
Yep.
Thanks,
Oh.
Wade. That's,
Okay, so just commenting.
Okay.
I do have another question too. So, for employers that are not on our plan, I know Taylor said you can set up a plan without match, but, there's still a cost to like administering it or like, I don't really understand all the parts of it, but, there's still a cost to the employer. So if I'm a new employer and I'm just like, got 6 employees or I'm, kind of small, I'm just looking into this. Because we're about to talk about in my presentation, like you said, more people adding match or adding these things that maybe weren't offered in the past to compete and get talent. So if that's the case, I know you might not be able to give us like an exact hard number, but is there a ballpark? Like, is it expensive to join a 401k plan, or what's like a ballpark number of what that would cost someone that wanted to look at that?
so great question. So I wanna make sure I'm clear. If you sponsor your own plan, and let's say you have around 20 some employees, 25, 30, you're going to expect to pay around $1,500 to $2,500 a year
Okay.
out of pocket as an employer, just to administer the plan, just to do the annual testing.
Okay.
So think of it this way: someone has to write a plan document. Someone has to keep that plan document up to date with the IRS. Someone has to do the testing to make sure you're not discriminating. Someone needs to fill out a Form 5500 every year per plan. Those are all requirements by the IRS. If you don't do that, your plan is disqualified and then you don't get any tax breaks, and that's a bad deal.
Okay.
That all costs money because no employer wants to do that. And that's just stuff that you have to do. It's cost of business. That's if you are on your own. If you are a part of the Alliance Group, since the Alliance Group is already doing all of that for their plan,
Yeah.
the employers under the Alliance Group have zero cost.
Okay.
So it costs them nothing. They're just choosing to plug into the Alliance Group plan. And since it's not their own plan, they have a portion of the plan is theirs, right? They are customized. You guys are allowing them to customize certain things. So it looks and feels like their own plan, but none of those requirements are now due because they're plugging into the big plan, not having their own plan.
Okay.
So the IRS does not require a co-employer to do those things.
Oh.
So a co-employer is off the hook. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to take some of that burden, remove some of that risk, obviously, if you want to remove costs of the plan, get rid of your own plan and join the Alliance Group's plan, because all of those things go away.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then it's mentioned there's a cost that's associated with actually managing the funds.
Yeah.
As well, so.
The participants pay that.
Yes. So when you're a smaller group, that number is a little bit higher because
Yeah.
the money that they're managing is less. So then that's where Wade and his team come in. So,
Yeah.
but no, this is great. Let's flip the switch. We've got probably, about 5 minutes,
Okay.
10 minutes, and then
Okay.
we can answer any questions in that back half of the next 10 minutes.
Okay. I won't spend much more time on this. Everyone right now, you can, like I said earlier, you can watch the news and get scared.
Mhm.
Black Friday after Thanksgiving, the markets went down like 3% in one day. The Omicron scare happened and everything is scary, right? Everyone's worried. Well, or are they, right? So this is where we have to decide. I think let's take the news, let's take our own opinions out of it, and let's just look at the data. So this is the S&P 500. We're tracking the top 500 companies and their stock over the last 100 years. Blue is when the markets or those stocks go up. Orange is when those markets go down by 20% or more. So that's called a bull market and a bear market. First of all, if you're a betting person, would you bet on blue or orange? It's no problem, blue. But what does everybody worry about all the time? Orange. So I just like to show folks this because you have to decide yourself, what type of a newscaster will you be? Are you going to be the person that only worries about the orange and talks only about the orange? Or are you going to tell your kids and your employees, you know what? No, blue happens 4 times more than the orange. I'm going to concentrate on the positive. Because if you look at the average, the blue, the bull markets, the up markets last almost 4.5 years long on average. The downturns on average last only 11 months on average. COVID lasted 1.5 months, but that hurt, right? That's all everybody's talking about. But the markets are at all-time highs, and I really wanted everyone to see this graph just for themselves. They can decide who they want to be. I'll tell a story of my family. I love my family more than everybody in the world. But my great-great-grandparents that lived through the Great Depression put money in the stock market. They lost a lot of money in the stock market. Guess what they told their kids, and their kids told their kids, and their kids told their kids? Guess what they told them? Don't put money in the market, you lose all your money. Well, I have rich friends. Their great-great-grandparents lived through the same depression. Guess what my rich friends' stories were passed down? Those rich friends said, yeah, we lost money, but we just put more money in, and then it grew, and then it doubled, then it quadrupled, and then boom, boom, boom. And so you have to decide which story you want to tell. Do you want to tell the story of the orange failure or the blue growth? And you have to decide how you want to do that. And it's never too late to make that decision. But when you're an investor, it's important that you know history. If you're one of those folks that go online every day, because now we have technology that allows you to go on every day. If you do that, that's fine. But remember, you have about a 53% chance that you're going to go on and see your account balance higher than yesterday. That means you have a 47% chance that it will be lower than yesterday. Well, that's like a coin flip. I don't like to do that. But just if you go on every day, know that's what you're going to see. But if you look 10 years, if you looked once every 10 years, now no one does this either, but think about that. If you just waited 10 years and looked, you'd have a 97.3% chance that your account would not only be up, but it would probably doubled in those 10 years. Whoop, I want to go back. There we go. One more here I want to do. So let's just look at the last 13 years. I picked 2008 because does everyone remember on the call before 2008, the markets crashed big time. So right before that, let's say we were really stupid and we put $10,000 in the S&P 500. Well, we would have looked stupid because the markets went down immediately 40, 50%. We would have lost almost half of our money in a year. What an idiot, right? Well, not really. If you would have just stuck with it and had that 10-year look instead of the day-to-day look, not only would you have your $10,000 back, but despite all of this negative news that hits us all the time everywhere, including COVID and everything else, you would have almost $40,000 today. So that's a double of a double with all of the negatives, COVID, 2008, and everything. So I show this to everyone to say, yes, the graphs are graphs, but this is real. These are real numbers. Hopefully that helps everyone out. Okay. Should we be worried about the Fed printing all the money and lowering the value of the dollar? How should we view the stock market from this lens? Great question. So you hit the nail on the head. There's always, this is where I go to this. There are things that are causing some of this orange. The Fed printing the money right now is actually helping the markets get to all-time highs. Why do I say that? There's so much money out there, people aren't saving it, they're spending it, they're giving it to these companies, and these companies are having record earnings. That's causing their stock prices to go up, that's causing the stock market to go up. That can't last forever. Sooner or later, to pay back all of this free money, we're going to have to pay it back with higher inflation and other things. But let's just use inflation, for example. Inflation's already here and it's coming strong. So in your plan, we have what are called inflation protected investments in your plan that are hedging higher inflation, okay? So inflation can be good too, right? It can be really good. The only thing that's terrible about inflation is as a consumer, I want to buy my favorite things, but now I'm going to keep buying those favorite things, but they just cost more money. But costing more money helps the company selling it to me. So there is some good things about inflation. There's other things that you can do to hedge inflation in America. I think a lot of times we just have our United States hat on. I get very upset of what's going on monetarily in the United States. But think of being a German company or another company that's selling to the United States. They're going to love inflation, right? If inflation's going up and our dollar is going down and the Adidas shoes that I was buying are coming in, right? Germany, since they don't have inflation, they're making more money because our value of our currency is going down. They're making more money. Well, why wouldn't we buy Adidas stock, right? So there's a lot of other things that we can do as investors. Of course, I don't like it as an American, but I certainly don't mind it as an investor because we can still find places to put our money even though there's inflation. So I would look at it as two things. America as a country might not be good what we're doing, but as an investor, it's not terrible. Hope that answered your question.
All right, Wade, do you have anything else for us? We've got about 1 minute.
I don't. I totally appreciate the relationship, appreciate the time. I'm excited to work with any employer. So if you're on here and you know other employers, let them know the great solution that the Alliance Group has. Not only can they, join those groups and companies that are making the PEO industry grow so fast, join a good group like the Alliance Group, and then all of this other stuff is taken care of for you.
Perfect. Awesome. Wade, we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Wade.
the information today.
Great job.
This was really helpful. And again, this will be published on our website, and then you can feel free to reach out to either Shay or I, and we can get you in contact with Wade and his team. But I do know that first slide does have all of his team's contact information as well.
And what I've seen here, you guys should have your own radio show. That'd be
Yeah, it's a
good.
podcast. It's more podcast style. But we
Sorry.
appreciate
That's
that.
Older guy radio show. Yeah, let's go podcast.
Wade, thank you for your time
Thank
today,
you.
bud.
See